Alright, I was going to show you all how to make a body that can deform for this car. Because right now it uses the ETK 800 body, which basically is that shape. Let's go to our desktop. People have asked how to help them make mods and stuff. I try it every time I make a mod to make a video, but they don't always go well. So I'm recording this, and I'm just making a folder here on the desktop. I'm going to copy a material file into it, a blank Jbeam, and an info file. So using Notepad++, I'll open the info file and call this the name of the mod. I'll save it, and this blank Jbeam here I'll rename to the name of the mod. Now this is gonna, damn, I can't spell. This is gonna be where your mod name goes to. And the rest of this is pretty much blank. I mean, it's got stuff pre-filled out, but it's not what makes the mod. I mean, it is what makes the mod, but it's not all that you need. So I'm going to go ahead now and move this folder into the user folder in the vehicles. So this is where I'm going to move the folder to. I say move folder because it is so easy to save and export and whatnot to the wrong place. Wonder why it does not work when you load the mod and realize, oh, I was saving to the desktop folder. So now this is established, this folder. All we need to do now is just export to DAE, which is the visible model that you see. So this thing here has also got two textures, mater eye, mater body. I'm going to kind of cheat and copy the materials file from that particular folder just to save time, because I've already made this once. No, I'm not. I don't even know what I was doing with that one. So let's see, what textures do we need? We need mater eye, mater body. You know what? I'm gonna put a number 2 after that. I don't know that it won't conflict with something. So anyway, let's make this the first one, mater eye 2. And the other one will be, hold on a minute, let's paste. I'm going to remove this because I'll let the game add this. And this will be the other texture, mater body 2. Those, get rid of them. So this is the maybe just making sure. Okay, save. Now we need to save the Blender file now. Save as, and where do we move that to? There it is. So this is where we'll save the Blender file. This is also where the Jbeam will export to. So now we saved our Blender file. Let's export this DAE, which is also going to be known as the flex body. This is going to go in that folder too. Oops, there it is. It don't matter what you call the DAE. All that matters is the name of the mesh here. That's what it's going to look for, not the name of the DAE, because you can have multiple things in one DAE. But anyway, this is going to be selection only because we only need to send that part. Actually, you know what? I'm going to delete all this other. No, I'm not. No, not. I'll just do it like I'm just going to do it. Export collider. Now, we got to think about Jbeam for this thing. The simplest thing to do is just to make a box. Just a simple box. Maybe let's just do the most basic of the basic with a little deforming. We'll go into edit mode now. We will put a loop cut here. Actually, yeah. Now what I'm going to do is pick the face in the front. And extrude it. Extrude region. And do the same thing back here. And go just extrude that like that. Now, probably could have a few more slices going through it here and there. Let's just try that. Now, if I hide the body, and I'm just looking at the cube, I'll go to X-ray mode where we can see inside of it. What we'll do now is we'll reinforce it. Think about like you don't want the walls to collapse, so you gotta brace them with something. So I like pick a vertex here and say here, and hit F on the keyboard. It'll make a beam, which is your supports. This is very crude. It is not going to be a beautiful deforming Jbeam, but you'll get an idea what you have to do if you want to make one. And this is only making one solid shape like this. The right way to do it would be to cut the car into parts. Well, it'd probably be near impossible to do. The car would need to be made as individual parts, and the individual parts need to be connected and have brake groups and other things assigned to it so that it deforms correctly. So that if a piece breaks and say other pieces that were attached are supposed to break too, then they do correctly and whatnot. I have not even got into anything like that yet. Well, I have done a little bit of that, but nothing on the scale of a complete car. That's just so time consuming. It takes a long time. Well, for me anyway. It probably wouldn't take as long if I knew more about what works and don't work. A lot of what I do, I test it many times, find out what works and what doesn't work. Or someone who's a seasoned modder would I already have a good idea what the weight should be, the damping should be, the beam spring, and the other things. I am just guessing for the most part. There's probably too many reinforcements actually. But it will somewhat work. Now I'm going to hit A to select all triangulate faces. I didn't quite connect all of them everywhere that would make a triangulated face. So, and also if you don't, you'll probably get an error exporting it saying, I didn't mean to move that. What the hell am I thinking? Object set origin 3D cursor. Object, or I'm sorry, apply all transforms. Save our file again. And over here in this green tab with this, what will be the Jbeam, you see this prefix? I'm just going to put A. And this cube here, I'm going to rename that to cube 2, just so it's different. So I think there's already maybe another cube I exported. Alright, so now we go to File, Export Jbeam. And this will go to the folder that we moved a minute ago. And the Jbeam exported. See, since the Blender file will save there, that's where the exported file goes. So this cube 2 we will drag to this view, and the blank Jbeam that is here, we'll put that over here. Now we will select these nodes and move them to the nodes right here under where this group A is. What is group A? Oh, I didn't tell you. This was where the flex body goes, which is not this, it's this. This is the flex body, so that's what we're putting in there. And the group we're assigning that mesh to is group A, so that all these nodes, all these beams and triangles will all be associated with group A. So the game knows where these go, you move this mesh. Is basically what it does. So now we put the beams and then the triangles. Save. And cross your fingers and load it and see what happens. We fell through the world. Yes, we did. Why did we fall through the world, you may ask? Well, in this node section here, collision is false, which is the ground. So if that's false, you go through the ground. Self-collision means it can collide with its own self. So let's just Control R to reset and hit the home key. Let's hit F. Oh, there it is. Let's hit F7. Let's just see what we get. This is our Jbeam box here. If we hit Control T, we can see the triangles that make that Jbeam up. Same box we were making in Blender. And you will see that it does in fact move the car like jello. But it will also deform. Maybe not the best deforming, but yeah, you know, it is better than not deforming at all. Now, do you want it to permanently deform? Or do you want it to spring back into shape once it is, you know, this is where the beam spring deform here. Let's close this. This basically is the largest number, basically invincible, and strength invincible. But don't let the strength confuse you. This is related to beams breaking. This is related to if they bend, say the beam spring, it takes this much, whatever the hell it uses to measure. It takes this much, say Newton forces or whatever the hell. I don't know. If you put something like 5,000, then once it breaches this number, and obviously 5,000 happens before this, it will permanently deform. So if we go back and control, I was going to say shift. It almost sounded like I was going to say shit, but that's not what I was going to say. Let's reset it. Now you see, look what I did. Just dropping it from a little distance, it already took some stress. Yeah. Drop it from even high. That's what that beam deform sets up for you. I usually, when I work like this, I'll usually move this to this view. Well, this is Windows 11. It has this little feature that you can easily, I wouldn't say easily. Damn, I hit F11. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to hit F11, but with the game running. Let's see, where's our car? Damn. Yeah, that thing got flat there. Ain't much left of it, I reckon. And see, this is what, if you had the FLT max or just a larger number in general, more than that, it would withstand more before permanently deforming. Oh, not sure where it went. We will make it spawn up here. Let's drop a couple of them from different heights. Well, no. I was gonna say no, because I forgot I'd have to reset every damn one after I make a change. Let's just do it like this. We'll put it in a little slower motion. And we'll see how it does with stronger deform. I mean, it is possible to deform it, but it would take much more effort. See that force there? I'm not sure if that's the same, if that's the number that's being measured over there. Probably not. As you see, that deformed permanently, and it didn't even exceed 100,000. Or it would appear it deformed permanently. Yeah. So that's kind of what that does. Damping, I don't really know how to explain that. Well, think of a spring. If it ain't got any damping, it's not going to have any oscillation or whatever you call it. It's just going to be like a thud, like metal, or like a rock hitting a rock. No vibrations. That's how I imagine that would be. But I'm not right. I'm wrong in that. I did save the file. I did reload it. It's just not, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not quite 100% sure how to explain it. Okay. Well, I can see a difference there with 10,000 damping. Now remember, the damping too has to do, it works in conjunction with the weight. I think the node weight's 52. If the node weight was 2, for example, and it had that much damping and that much beam spring, it'd explode. But before I reload it, I'll show you like what that higher damping did. Now I can tell you it'll explode with that much beam spring, but I'll do it anyway. Now we'll hit Control R and home. Why is it upside down? Don't know. Unpause, and you see it just immediately pauses again. It's an unstable and super slow motion. You could really probably tell this what's actually happening. So yeah, it's too much beam spring for that little weight, and or too much damping. All right, putting this down to a more realistic number. It's not that I'm an expert at numbers. I'm definitely not. Like I said, I'm one that tries things many times before I figure out what works best. It should not explode now. Did I save that? Sometimes I don't remember. Yeah, it's still exploding. So even less spring. Oh, it's in slow motion. Well, that will have an effect on it. Let's pause it. Turn it around. Why it's upside down? I think I need to put the reference nodes. Let's do that real quick. So reference nodes, I think the reference node for this, like they say to pick a reference node, you'd pick whatever's closest to the object center. So by hitting Control in this mode, not edit mode, you'll see the nodes. So if we were to say, well, A, looks like L, I can't tell. I thought they patched this, or I thought they made this where we could see these better. I could have swore I could see these better earlier, like when they first updated the game. But now I don't damn see. I can't make out what the hell that is. It looks like it looks like A13, but I can't be damn sure. A18 maybe. Let's just go with A18. So up here in the reference nodes, A18 will be the reference node. And what's to the left of A18? Well, that would be AL15. What is to the back of what is to the back of that? Well, the back would be A40. And what is above the reference node? Let's go and see. There's A1. Yeah, it is A18. I can see it now. A18. What's above A18? Well, that would be the closest thing, A19. This has to do with the camera spawning, where this camera spawns. If you don't have your reference nodes, the camera will look, it'll basically be very chaotic when it spawns. Like, I'm not sure what's going on with this. Let me reload it. Okay, that's what I wanted. That's right. Um, oh yeah, I guess you probably wonder where the texture's at. I never did finish that part of it. I said I'd let the game fill that out, so I'll go to the material now. Only because every time I try to do it, it just, for whatever reason, it doesn't like where I tell it the texture is. I don't know. I think it's, I just figure this works better. I just let it do its thing, even though, like, what it'll put be exactly what I would put. It just, for some reason, doesn't like it. Sometimes it causes lots of problems with the textures. Oop, where am I at? Meter. Alright, so I'm going to copy this to my clipboard because I don't want to navigate to that again. So this is the car body. And then the other one is the eyes. Don't forget to save your materials when you're done. If you wanted to put like a little shine on the car so it kind of reflects, not to really get too much into this, I'm just going to reuse the body of the car body for also the specular map, which that's normally a black and white, but this will be fine. I'm just taking shortcuts. So it has to have something to contrast the reflection of. So if you just turned on the reflection without a map, it would just 100% reflect everything around it. So that's kind of cool, but that ain't what we want. So we have to add something like another texture to contrast it against so that you can adjust the reflectivity like that. See, now if you get up close, you can see it kind of reflects a little bit, which really rusted metal like that wouldn't be reflecting anything. But you get the idea. You can kind of do little things like this. You can also do a generic normal map. Not to spend a lot of time making different textures for it, but it doesn't take long to load that map into here and do a generic normal. Let's go navigate to it. Here it is. Bring it into here. And since I'm working with a DDS format, I don't load the MIP maps or automatic. I turn those off. And then I'll go to filters, generic, normal map. I'll do a slight blur. Filters, Gaussian blur. Sometimes you can get some really bad aliasing if it's not got a slight blur. And then I'll export it to DDS. I'll call this, I'll put like an underscore in, and it'll be compression type PC5 for normal maps, and generate MIP maps. I guess while I'm here, I can also do a high pass filter, which will be the detail map. So you can go to enhance, high pass. Don't worry, Photoshop's got high pass. But we'll do one standard deviation and contrast. We'll crank that up about 1.5, which I know this doesn't look like much, but it makes a difference. Basically, this is like emphasizes all these lines with these edges here so that it's more defined. We'll export this. I'll just put a little underscore D. I don't know what that means for detail. And this will be BC1 compression type. And if you really wanted to try to mess around with you know, the textures and stuff. You could fool around with telling the mode to be grayscale, maybe purposely uh, adjusting the contrast so that it's more and then tell this to be like the part that's the well, you could make this like a metallic if you're making PBR, I guess, or it could be the roughness map, which, you know, these filters are nothing as good as compared to like if you were to bake the maps in Blender. This is just kind of quick stuff here. I'm no expert at these. I'll just call this S for specular metal, whatever. It's also BC1. Everything you export as DDS is going to be BC1. If it's transparencies involved, it's going to be BC3, and if it's a normals map, this is BC5. So now we got our new maps. We can play around with the detailed map here, load it in. You see it made it a little sharper. You may not can tell on your screen. We'll load the other. This is the actual specular. You can see it makes a little difference. Reflectivity, and let's see, let's go to detail normals. Put the normals in there and in the normals here. So now it's got a little more depth to it. The textures do look a little more, a little better anyway. You don't want too much normals. I ain't even gonna put the second detail on there. Let's see here. Lighting. Alright, this is the roughness. So this is where the specularity comes in. Based on what specular map you put in there. Depends on what is actually catching the shine, I guess you could say. I'll put the other map in there to see the difference. I mean, this is pretty much as generic of a specular map you could make. It's not by any means great or anything. It's very plain. I'm not going to try to do PBR, but if you did want to, you could, let's see, switch it over. Just remember it, PBR is like naturally darker materials. Like, it's the way they work. Ambient occlusion, let's see, you can put that in there. That's too dark. Man, that does look good, that metallic. The normals are too. I don't know. Well, the fact is it's very low resolution. Not very low, it's 2048 by 2048. It's not super high either. Yeah, I figured that maps the entire car body instead of just like a small area. Just to give you an idea, if you had a more higher resolution, you can see how the normals affect it. You know, depending on how much higher the resolution, you can see how much more detailed the 3D look is. Now I know this does not match this, because I'm basically using this here, but you could like make you some normals of metal, rusted metal, and use them. But yeah, this is kind of crummy looking. I do like that metallic though. Does kind of give it a little more dimension. Oh, don't forget, save your material. Well, what happens if you run into it with a car? Well, let's get a car and see. Now keep in mind, this is not a very good J-beam. It's just something quick. Get my controller. What's going on? Why isn't the camera not working? Oh, look at that. That's why. Probably should bend more than that. And that's why you test. You test it. Unless you have made many things and you already know where you're going with it. Alright, you gotta go back up here, my friend, where you were earlier in the road. You two, back home where you go. Well, don't miss him. God dang it. Stupid fumbly fingers. Hit the wrong stuff again. Let's see. Is it permanent? Did it take permanent damage? I can't tell. Looks like it might have. Maybe not. So this is where this comes in. this will be fine now. It'll take significant damage, I would guess. Well, I tell you, I guess I don't know nothing. I mean, maybe it wasn't going fast enough. Maybe that is realistic. Don't know. Oh, way to know. We get that dang bus in here that goes real fast. You know, the one here that moves quickly. Why does that keep damn... Ah. I think that'll be fine. And like I said, it's a generic Jbeam. It's just something basic. I guess I'll eventually put this on the card that's got the wheels. But for now, I'll just upload this so you can mess around with this.